I liken this to my experience of losing my faith. I was raised Mormon, LDS. And God damn, when I lost my faith, it's not an experience I can really convey to you, but the best way to describe it is that throughout your life, from just being a little kid, you've started to build your little foundation on this principle and that principle and this and how it connects to that, and you start to lay the floorboards and the second floor and building this little structure, right? That at every level you have oriented the mechanics of your life around this structure. Every single level, every step, every tile on the floor is designed to fit with what you have been taught, until one day you look down and just wonder, is this right? Is this correct? And you start investigating a little, and there's a point where suddenly you just realize that, oh my God, everything I have learned since I can remember, right, about how reality works, it's not true. It can be true. I mean, it's simply incorrect. And at that moment, there's this bizarre feeling of one kind of this illumination, right? You feel enlightened a little bit, like, oh my God, you start seeing everything differently. But in that kind of ecstasy of sudden freedom and release, you also fall into this thing where all of a sudden, all of the structure that you've built your life on top of, that you've oriented everything about you around, your personality, how you behave, how you talk to people, what you think about people, what you do on Sundays, what you do on Saturdays, right? It just vanishes. And everything that you are just falls to the floor. And a lot of people have a really hard time handling this. I had an incredibly difficult time handling this. I fell into addiction. It was pretty shitty times, man. Fucking homeless on the streets with a needle on my arm, right? It was the only thing I could do to just forget about the fact that my entire life was a lie. Well, if there was a way to run a society without money, right? If there was a viable way to do it, if there was a viable way to run a society without money that is better for everybody, that would be much less wasteful, or much more much more efficient, much more productive, better for the environment, less pollution, right? If there was a way to do it in such a way that instead of everybody following this single unidimensional profit motive, right? Now that's broken down and everybody can follow different motives. If there was a way to realign the social motivational foci, or foci is, I guess, is the proper Latin way to pronounce that, wouldn't that be better? Would it be possible? Could you do that? The problem is with an economist, just like with somebody raised in a religion, with an economist, because they have control over whether or not their structure falls. Because the economists, those are the guys that you have to convince, really, to help them see whether or not there's a viable method for doing this. But they've built their entire life around the concept of money and monetary exchange and market, dynamics and all of this shit. That to even suggest that the one thing that their entire identity and their life is structured around could be removed from society in a way that would make the world better No. Fuck no, dude. Their ego will resist that at every fucking corner. Guaranteed. Not just guaranteed. I have several examples of such conversations. They won't even look at it. They won't even entertain the possibility, because it is a direct attack on who they are, on their very identity. It's a direct attack telling them that all, right, the sunk cost fallacy, all of the money, all of the time, all of the space and materials that they have spent on their education and in their career and in their profession, that it just all meant nothing? No, come on. They can't take that. Unlike somebody that's going through a crisis of faith, even somebody that's gone through a crisis of faith, and if you have, you know what I'm talking about, it can take a while for you to finally roll around to being like, yep, that's it. It doesn't matter how much cost I've sunk into this. It doesn't matter how much, time and energy and personal, emotional oomph I've put into everything. It's just, it's too much now. Like I have to simply accept it, watch my tower fall, and just deal with the aftermath. But an economist, it's a different thing with an economist. Religion is a fanciful, just words coming from some dude's mouth at the pulpit, right? Economics, man, that's hundreds of years of validated, verified science and theory and philosophy that goes into economics. It's a very robust field. I mean, not robust, when you compare it to something like physics, but robust in that it is in the veins of our society. For an economist to turn his head away from money and accept that there's a possible way to run a world without the financial incentive, that sticky, stinky, elusive, destructive force that we all are bound by right now, they're not going to. It goes against every fucking fiber in their being, from all the textbooks they have on economics, to all of the audiobooks they have on economics, to all of the papers they've written on economic theory, right? to discard all of that, it's not going to happen. You will not get a valued economist to even consider the possibility of a moneyless society. It will not happen. I can almost guarantee it, based on, psychology, right? I mean, psychology tells us that it will take a fucking dramatic move and shake to get a hardcore, well-respected economist to turn away from the concept of money.